Hi, everybody. I'm Jeffrey Driscoll.
And I'm Jim Kerr.
Welcome to 15 Minutes of Fame. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a special trade deadline edition of 15 Minutes of Fame. Yep, we waited until Monday night to record our show just in case there were some big trades in the National Hockey League. Was it worth it? You tell us at 15 Minutes YEG on Twitter, but I'm imagining no. But let's get started with the Edmonton Oilers, Kersey. They swapped defenseman Tom Gilbert, a 5-year Oiler, for Minnesota Wild D-man Nick Schultz. What do you think about the trade?
Well, it kind of took me by surprise, to be honest with you. I wasn't really sure what to think at first, but I've let it percolate upstairs.
Right.
And
lots of room up there to percolate.
Well, that's just it. Yeah, I was hoping for a few more trades to fill me up a little.
Right.
But, my thoughts on a guy like Nick Schultz, he's a stay-at-home defenseman, and my theory on a guy like that is the less you hear about him, and you don't hear about Nick Schultz that often, more than likely the better a job he's doing. And I really don't know much about Nick Schultz, and I believe that's because he's a good shutdown defenseman on a defensive-minded team, and the Oilers are a team looking for defense, and so it's probably a good fit.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Tom Gilbert was playing a lot of top minutes for the Edmonton Oilers. He's playing against a lot of hard opponents. We'll see how it goes. Other than that, they're both 29. They're both at the end of their long-term deals. Schultz, the only difference is Schultz got only 3 points, 1 goal, 2 assists, whereas Gilbert had something like 17 points, I think. And so, are we going to be able to replace those 17 points? Probably, especially if Jeff Petrie keeps coming along. That's what I think the gamble is here, and I don't think it's a surprise to any of our watchers and or listeners that that's what the gamble here is, that Jeff Petrie is going to be better coming in the next couple of years, and we'll take Nick Schultz. The one thing I hear about Schultz, and you're right, I don't hear very much, is that he's a pretty good team guy. He was an assistant captain with the Wild, so never a bad thing having more good guys in the locker room, especially with this rebuilding / young Oiler team.
Yeah, and Gilbert was a good player, and he's kind of, it's tough to see a guy go that they've put so much time and money into, I suppose, but you get rid of kind of an offensive defenseman for a guy who's more focused on the defensive end, and really that the Oilers need that more than they need another guy joining the rush. And like you said, Jeff Petrie's progress this season probably plays a big role there, because Petrie's been great.
Yeah.
And he had another great game on Monday night, minus a giveaway on 1 goal, but still,
that's true.
He's really come a long way from being a guy that nobody really knew much about to being kind of a mainstay on the Oilers' blue line.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. Glad to see Sam Gagner stay around too, so we'll see how that goes here. I guess the biggest trade in an otherwise lackluster trade deadline was that the Canucks shipped Cody Hodgson, the heir apparent for a few years there before injuries, and Alexander Salzer to the Buffalo Sabres for Zach Kassian and Marc-Andre Gragnani. So, yes, I know my pronunciation is just as good as it normally is. I'm the Don Cherry of podcasting. So, what did you think about that trade, Jim?
Well, the fact that that's the big one,
yes,
it kind of is telling of what a phenomenal day it was.
Oh, God.
But, Cody Hodgson's a good player. Zach Kassian's a good player. He adds a bit of size to Vancouver, but Buffalo loses a bit of size there on a couple of fronts. So, that's interesting. Buffalo got rid of a few. I can't believe they got a first-round pick for Paul Gaustad.
No kidding. That's
a steal of a deal right there.
Absolutely.
But, hey, you take what's offered, I guess.
One of the biggest stories coming out of the trade deadline is that Rick Nash was not traded. So it wasn't the fact that somebody was traded, it was somebody who was not traded from the Columbus Blue Jackets. And it was revealed after the trade deadline was over by what looked to me like a beleaguered Blue Jacket GM, Scott Housen, that it was Nash who asked to be traded. Is this a selfish move for Nash, or has he spent his time there, put in the time, Jim?
Well, I mean, Rick Nash, he doesn't owe much to the Columbus Blue Jackets. He's put in almost a decade of service there. Yes, he's been paid handsomely for it, but they haven't really done much to build a team around him, and they've tried.
Yeah,
I'll tell you, they've tried, but I don't think it's a bad thing that he asked for a trade. He didn't necessarily ask trade to steal a line from Slapshot. Trade me right effing now.
Yes.
But he said, hey, would you consider maybe trading me? Here's a list of teams I would go to. I think it's fine. I took issue a little bit about with Scott Housen coming on afterwards and saying, oh, he has to be traded. I don't really see the point in that. I don't think he needed to say that, and I think it may, it turn out to be a bad move on his front. I just don't think it's a classy move by a GM of a last place team. Well, could anyone really fault Rick Nash for asking to be traded?
No, and you're right, and I think he has put in his time. And does that mean that he'll trade in the summer? Get traded in the summer, and more importantly, I think, does the fact that Housen come out and say, Nash asked for the trade, does that lower or increase his trade value? I guess to the Columbus Blue Jackets.
I think it increases the fact or the chances that he'll be traded, because if I was Rick Nash, I wouldn't be happy about that.
No.
And it almost put some. He'll probably get traded at the draft or July 1st, because I don't know. I just don't know why you would come out and say that, because it's like you're kind of making your best player look bad for no real reason.
Exactly. Well, before the deadline, there was one big move. And talking about the Columbus Blue Jackets here, they traded big-time acquisition from last year, Jeff Carter, to the Kings for a guy I really like, Jack Johnson, and a conditional first-round pick. What did you think about that?
That was a good deal. I'm surprised they got as much as they did for Jeff Carter. But kind of interesting that he would be reunited with Mike Richards so quickly after they were both dealt from Philadelphia. Good trade for Housen, though. I mean, we've just kind of crapped on Housen a little bit, but that there was a good deal.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel bad for Jack Johnson.
Yeah, no kidding.
But it's very interesting that Carter and Richards are already back together.
Yeah,
I guess it was just meant to be.
Dry Island 2, I think, is the way to do it there. Exactly. One move that a lot of us thought might be made involved the Edmonton Oilers winger Ales Hemsky, but he signed a 2-year, $10 million deal on Friday. It sounds like he wanted 4 years, and the Oilers just wouldn't budge and probably paid a little more to make sure that it was $2 million. I like the deal. We'll see where they're at in 2 years. What did you think of it?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it seems like they think a healthy Hemsky is better than what they would have got back in that trade, and they're probably banking on the fact that he'll come back next year and have a better season. I don't know about giving a raise to a guy who's played less than 50 games, to this point, anyways, in the past 2 seasons. But when he's on, there's no question that he's a great player, and I mean, he's an assistant captain on the Oilers for a reason, I assume. Right, so I was a bit surprised, to be honest, that especially at the price. But that said, it could very well turn out to be a good deal. He's a great player when he's on, but he's just been hurt so much that you kind of wonder. And a shoulder injury is something that can keep coming back. So
that's right.
Hopefully he's healthy.
And hopefully, the next couple of games, the end of this year, and hopefully the next year, he won't maybe have that on his mind. I don't know. Maybe he's a fragile kind of guy, and I don't know. Maybe maybe he's got to pick it. He'll pick it up now that he knows that he'll be here for a little while, and he doesn't have the trade deadline, over his head. So, let's go on to some independent baseball. The Edmonton Capitals won't be suiting up in the North American Baseball League this season, or in fact any league. Jim, what happened there?
Well. They looked at how many teams were in the league for the start of the season and realized they were one of 4.
Yes.
A league that had 9 teams just 2 or 3 years ago is now down to 4. Now down to 3 without the Capitals. But that league was flawed from the start. The way the North Division was set up was Hawaii, Alberta, California, Illinois. Just way too much travel for independent baseball. And even the South Division teams have gone astray. Calgary's gone to, it wasn't economically viable. And the only teams that were left were Hawaii, California, and Arizona. So you can imagine the costs involved in running a team between those 4 destinations for an entire season. So they said they're gonna suspend it for now and look for another league for 2013. But I guess. In some ways, you could say the league was almost destined for failure in some ways because it was made up of teams from other failed independent leagues. So what are you going to do?
That's right. Sure, it would be nice to get some. I mean, I would love some AAA ball, but we all know that's not going to happen. But sure, it would be nice to get some nice, good AA ball here in Edmonton. I'd go watch it.
Yeah.
So
there's a good baseball community in the city, and I think so. That would be beneficial. But you take what you can get, I suppose.
Exactly. Let's move on to the GABBYs.
When you live in this barren wasteland that is Edmonton, Alberta.
That's right. Can't even have spring training up here. You basically get like mosquito season, and that's it. Let's give good in this week's GABBYs to the creativity of a group of Chicago Cubs fans, Jim, who bought the logical domain name for the new spring training home of the Boston Red Sox and made it redirect to the homepage of the New York Yankees. They bought JetBluePark.com and pulled a fast one on the team. I love it. It's great. Good for them. I love seeing that.
Yeah, a reporter asked one of the team communication guys about it, and he brought it up on his phone, and he's like, "Oh, well, that should probably go to the Boston Red Sox website." Yeah, you think so?
No kidding.
How about a good to the New York Yankees asking CC Sabathia to lose some weight, and a good to Sabathia for apparently showing up 10 to 15 pounds lighter for spring training. The team actually sat down with him and asked him to shed a bit of poundage, which is fair considering the morbidly obese paycheck he's getting.
I'm telling you, 10 to 15 pounds for CC Sabathia isn't enough. Lose another 20 and we'll talk.
He's a big boy.
A good to the New York Knicks out of nowhere superstar Jeremy Lin. We, of course, love Jeremy Lin on 15 Minutes of Fame. Stole the Sports Illustrated spotlight away from Kate Upton, of all people, who is also we're a big fan here at 15 Minutes of Fame, by becoming the first New York-based team athlete to make the cover of the magazine 2 weeks straight. That's, if you will, Jim Linsane.
Yeah, I saw a tweet from Conan O'Brien last week, something about Jeremy Lin jerseys being for $300, and he goes, "That's Jeremy insane." Wait, did I say that wrong? I love that guy.
Love it.
How about a bad to Portland Trailblazer Greg Oden? And I'm getting choked up here, Jeff, because this is my boy.
Totally.
We've mentioned him several times on the show.
Yeah.
He had knee surgery earlier this month. We mentioned that. He's had another knee surgery, another microfracture surgery on his other knee, which means another season with 0 games played from a boy, Greg Oden. But, hopefully he can find his way back because he's so much talent.
And so much
so many injuries.
And so much beard that it's just, you need the guy. It's really too bad.
I feel so bad for a guy like that. I really do. Even though he's made a lot of money, even this season he signed a huge deal.
No, totally. Still. I agree. How about a bad to Rajon Rondo of the Boston Celtics? He sat out 2 games this week for throwing the ball at the ref when he didn't get a call his way during a game in Detroit. I see this all the time in men's league basketball, Jim, but I never think that a guy getting paid, millions and millions of dollars would do it. That's one of those I immediately regret this decision moments, I'm sure. As soon as he did it, just like, oh, whoops.
Exactly. Except he tried to play it cool, like, I totally meant to do that. But in his head, he's like,
shoot. Yeah.
Come on,
Rajon. I have to sit these ones out.
Yeah. And finally, a bad to the Finnish goalie who misread what the refs were doing with their arms last week. There's a lot of different hand signals, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you're not sure what's going on.
Sure.
Tommi Virtanen thought he saw a delayed penalty on the way, so rushed to the bench, only to watch the other team come right back into the zone and score an empty netter in a playoff game, which ended up a 7-1 loss for his team. That's an ouch.
At least it wasn't a 2-1 loss in the playoff game. You know what I mean? The 7-1 loss, okay, maybe that one didn't matter.
I bet he's wishing that happened before YouTube.
Oh, totally. The punchline this week, folks, is MMA fighter Dan Lariviere, who proved recently that sometimes you can be your own worst enemy, Jim.
That's right, Jeff. He lost the fight against Jeremy Capone at Empire Fight League 4 in Montreal, which you've probably heard of.
Obviously.
He went for a flying switch kick, missed his opponent, landed funny, knocking himself out cold.
Easiest ever win for Capone, I'm sure.
Capone's actually knocked himself out with a kick.
Okay.
And he's standing across like, ooh, he missed me.
Woo!
I did it. I told you I could do it, Mom.
I tried my best, and this is what happens.
Yeah.
Well,
the punchline could very easily have been Kobe Bryant, though, Jeff.
Oh, God, yeah, no kidding. Dwayne Wade punches Kobe Bryant in the face. Not really, but turns out his nose is... Exactly. Turns out his nose is broken. Nose is broken, man. Those NBA players. Wusses, my friend.
Maybe he'll wear a half cage.
Oh, God, that'd be hilarious. Hilarious. That's it for this week, folks. That's our 15 Minutes of Fame. Join us again next week when we get a whole new 15 Minutes of Fame. I'm telling you, we need it. We crave attention. In the meantime, I'm Jeffrey Driscoll.
And I'm Jim Kerr.
Have a good week, folks.